Fake HOA threatened black family. They were police detectives. Part 1. Willow Ridge was the kind of suburban neighborhood that sold itself on peace and order. Hedges trimmed like math problems, driveways power washed weekly, and people who smiled through gritted teeth. Tucked behind its white fences and monthly newsletters, however, lurked a secret most residents didn't realize. The HOA had officially disbanded 4 years ago due to legal violations. But that didn't stop Karen Lively, self-proclaimed community enforcer, from running it like her own mini-government. She still wrote fake violation letters, still handed out her regulations, still patrolled the streets with a clipboard and binoculars, ready to scold anyone she deemed out of place. And when the new family moved into the blue house on Hazelwood Court, well, Karen was already watching. A black couple, mid-30s, fit, professional-looking, 2 kids, a boy and a girl, clean yard, nice car, but they didn't wave at her. They didn't ask to join her HOA revival committee. And worst of all, they didn't blend in quietly. So Karen did what she always did when she felt something was off. She dropped a notice into their mailbox. It wasn't signed. It didn't have a legal header, but it screamed entitlement. Your outdoor lighting violates community code. You must remove it within 48 hours or face citation and possible legal action. The next morning, she found the letter taped to her own door, with bold red handwriting across the front. There is no HOA. This is harassment. Cease immediately. Karen snapped. She stormed to her keyboard and fired off a neighborhood-wide email, titling it, "A Threat to Willow Ridge Harmony." She claimed the new family had refused to cooperate, accused them of intimidating behavior, and warned others to stay alert. But what she didn't know, what she had absolutely no idea about, was that the couple she had just tried to bully were not ordinary homeowners. They were Detective Marcus Blake and Detective Janelle Blake, 2 of the city's most respected plainclothes officers and members of the Internal Affairs Division. Part 2. It all boiled over one Friday afternoon. Karen had just returned from lunch with her friend Ruth when she saw the Blake children, Aiden and Layla, riding bikes in the cul-de-sac, smiling, carefree, wearing navy shirts with Youth Police Academy on the back. That infuriated her. She stormed across the street and began shouting, "You think you're above the rules? Letting your kids run wild, disturbing the peace? You don't get special treatment just because you—" Janelle stepped out of the garage in time to hear the last part. "Because we what, ma'am?" Karen froze. Janelle, dressed in athletic gear and wearing a badge lanyard around her neck, walked slowly toward her. Calm, steady, but firm. "Because we're black?" Karen sputtered. I didn't mean it like that, but this is a private community. We have standards." Marcus emerged from the house behind her, quietly recording on his phone. "This is the 3rd time you've approached our children," he said. "It ends today." That night, Marcus posted the full video to his social media account. No filter, no edits. Karen yelling at his kids. Karen accusing them of being disruptive. Karen threatening legal action over non-existent HOA codes. Within hours, the clip hit 500,000 views. And then the bombshell. Marcus updated the caption. "My name is Detective Marcus Blake. My wife is Detective Janelle Blake. We work in internal affairs. This is what happens when you move into the wrong neighborhood while black." By morning, national news had picked up the story. Part 3. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Karen's name was trending on Twitter under Marsh Fake HOA and Karen in Blue Ridge. Her employer, a local real estate firm, released a statement denouncing her behavior. She was placed on leave by Monday. The mayor of the city issued an official apology to the Blake family on behalf of the community, stating, "It is unacceptable that law enforcement officers who have dedicated their careers to protecting our city should be harassed for simply living where they please." But it didn't end there. Emails surfaced. Dozens of residents came forward, revealing similar violation notices left by Karen, always targeting the same type of people: immigrants, black families, renters. The truth spread like wildfire. Karen had created a culture of quiet intimidation. Even those who once considered her just strict began to see the deeper rot. She tried to defend herself, releasing a long Facebook post filled with phrases like misunderstood, concern for safety, and not about race. But it was too late. The damage was done. Part 4. 2 weeks later, the Blakes hosted a community block party. It wasn't out of celebration, but to reclaim the space, to show their kids they belonged, to remind Willow Ridge what dignity looked like. Officers from their department came in plain clothes. The mayor stopped by. Kids played in the street under string lights, the same lights Karen had once called non-compliant. Music played, food was shared. Karen stayed inside. She sat by the window watching the world she used to control move on without her. And for the first time in a long time, she listened. Not to defend, not to judge, but to learn. That night, she wrote a letter, not to the Blakes, but to herself. I saw them as outsiders, but maybe I was the one who forgot what community means. I thought I was keeping order, but I was just keeping people out. And the ones I feared were the ones protecting all of us, including me. Part 5. Months later, Karen joined a local program aimed at preventing housing discrimination. She didn't speak much. She mostly listened. Meanwhile, Marcus and Janelle were honored with community service awards, not for their police work, but for their grace under pressure. When asked in an interview what message they wanted people to take from their story, Janelle responded, "Assume humanity first, not threat. Respect should be a default, not a reward." The interviewer asked if they had any message for Karen. Marcus paused, then smiled. Sometimes the best apology isn't words, it's change. And in the audience, watching quietly from the back row, Karen nodded, eyes full, but finally open. Side story, it had been 6 months since the video went viral, but in many ways Willow Ridge had only just begun to feel the full impact. The Blakes didn't move out, they stayed, not out of pride or defiance, but because they believed in something bigger, the right to belong without needing permission. And that belief began to rebuild the neighborhood. Karen Lively hadn't spoken publicly since the town backlash. Her Facebook page was deleted, her voicemail still full. She stayed inside most days, too ashamed to face neighbors she once controlled like pawns on a board. But something had shifted in her. It began the day she saw Layla Blake, just 9 years old, riding her bike past Karen's house, waving politely. No fear in her eyes, no resentment, just kindness. Karen closed the blinds and cried. That night she began writing again. Not HOA rules, not incident logs, but letters of apology, of reflection, of truth. She mailed one, unsigned, to the Blakes. I thought I was preserving order. I was preserving walls. I didn't protect the neighborhood. I patrolled it. But you reminded me what protection really looks like. Thank you for staying, for showing me the mirror. I'll do better. Karen began volunteering at a local tenants' rights nonprofit, where she helped low-income families navigate housing rules and spot illegal discrimination. She never told them what she'd done in the past. She just showed up, quiet, on time, willing to learn. The woman who once made others feel unwelcome was now welcoming others in. Detective Janelle Blake started speaking at schools and universities, not just about law enforcement, but about community trust, unconscious bias, and the burden of being both protector and target. One talk went viral, a powerful moment where she said, "We wear badges, but before that, we wear skin. And too often the world sees one before it sees the other. But being black and being blue should never cancel each other out." Her words reached national law enforcement boards. She was later invited to consult on new training modules across several departments focused on de-escalation and community building. The irony wasn't lost on her. The very incident meant to silence her voice had amplified it across the country. Marcus, always the quieter one, found peace in mentoring young officers, especially those of color entering the force for the first time. He launched an informal Coffee with Cops series in Willow Ridge, where residents of all backgrounds could ask honest questions, express fears, and finally feel heard. One afternoon, a white mother approached him after a session. "My son, he asked why you were treated like a criminal when you're a cop. I didn't have the words, but now I think I do, because you gave them to me." Marcus didn't need a medal for that moment. Just knowing he was changing the narrative for the next generation was enough. Willow Ridge looked different now. There were fewer anonymous letters, more community cookouts, less silence, more conversations. And at the next annual block party, once dominated by rules and restrictions, Karen showed up. Not in control, not taking notes, just holding a tray of food and asking where to set it down. Layla ran up and helped her. For the first time, no one looked away. Some changes happened through policy, others through people. The Blakes didn't move to Willow Ridge to start a movement. They came for the same reason as anyone else: a quiet home, a safe place for their children. But when confronted with injustice, they stood firm, and their presence turned an entire neighborhood inward, forcing it to ask, who gets to feel safe here? Who gets to belong? And slowly, painfully, beautifully, people started answering, everyone. The end.